All right, what's up, everybody? We are back here again for week number 9 of Backyard Bookies. Joining me, as always, my co-host Scott. Scott, final week of October. Got a 2-game lead. Are you feeling good right now, or are you about to blow this lead?
I told the people, early on in October that I'd be undefeated. I would not miss a pick. Um, I did that one time, then other times I didn't. So I did not do well last week. I got the upset right. Paid off, like you said, paid off Maryland to beat USC, but otherwise, not so good week for me. Yeah, you cut the deficit down a little by. I think you got two right, so you cut the deficit by one. It's a little scary. You could go on a run here and you know, come back and I might be in the tub again or eating those wings, but who knows? I got some good picks, and hopefully you don't have the same ones, but or maybe going against me, who knows? But yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Honestly, I could not believe it when I looked up and saw USC lost that game. I was feeling so good. I was like, all right, one game. I'm down to a game. This is good. Good week. What idiot would pick the over in a Tennessee Alabama game? I don't know who that idiot would be. As soon as I saw the way that game started, I was like, oh God, these teams are just going to refuse to score no matter what. We had missed field goals, interceptions in the end zone. It was all fun. But what's your first game up for us this week?
So kind of going against what I've been going against. BYU UCF here. We talked about a couple weeks ago. BYU, they were 6-0 against the spread. Then they were not. Next game, they had the miracle last week against Oklahoma State. I picked that one. This week they're going against UCF in Orlando. 2.5 points are with the UCF Golden Knights, or
Yeah, Golden
yeah,
Knights laying two and a
make
half at
sure I got that
home.
right. Yeah, it's a weird line because obviously BYU, they're undefeated, number 11 in the nation, looking pretty good. Their defense is pretty good. UCF's the favorite in this one. Big thing that popped out of me: 75%. I think it was more earlier just today when I was looking. 75% is on BYU. And for me, you just look at that line and you're thinking that's wrong. BYU should be favored in this game. So with that being said, that would have been the square pick. Picking BYU with the points is the square pick. I'm not a square. I'm picking UCF minus 2.5. Um, I'm not confident in this one. It's just more of a numbers thing. Obviously, BYU is great against the spread this year. UCF not horrible, 4-3, and was they did cover last week against Iowa State. Pretty good game in that one. Rocco had to come back and beat them in that one, but otherwise pretty close-ish games in the last two. Cincinnati 6 point, 6 points, and then bad loss to Florida when they were favorites too. But they're at home. Hopefully, they can come out and win. RJ Harvey is a god on the NCAA as we've seen before. But hopefully, he can score a few touchdowns for me and against a pretty good BYU defense. So also that it's not 3.5 either. Again, just getting that field goal win would be huge. So do like the number. So we're gonna take 2.5 UCF.
I like it. I looked at this game. I was like, oh, BYU a dog after escaping with an emotional win on a Friday night. I smelt a rat. I like it. Don't want anything to do with this game. Something weird there. UCF played really good against Iowa State. I mean, they kind of let that game slip away from them. Had the weird, interception return for a touchdown that wasn't a touchdown, but then they still got the touchdown because nobody picked up the ball. Kind of a crazy game all around for them. So I want nothing to do with this game. BYU, again, they were picked to finish bottom for a reason. We kind of saw it last week. And if Oklahoma State wasn't just the most incompetent defense in the world, they would have lost. They would have easily lost that game for them. So that's a stay away from me. I like that. Just go against everybody because it's a popular pick. That's a good zag while everybody's zigging. For me, I'm going to team with a team that does cover. The line's a little confusing, but it's under 7, which is what I like. And we got a real trend going here. We got a Big Ten matchup. We got a West to East game. We got UW going out to Indiana, taking on the undefeated Hoosiers. 6.5 points this line is. Well, if we've learned anything about Cignetti, is he wins football games. And not only does he win football games, he covers football games. They're 6-0 in their last 6 against the line. They've done an excellent job. Housed Nebraska last weekend. And it's an 11 a.m. kickoff, baby. We got 9 a.m. local time for the Huskies. I'm sure they maybe flew out there earlier to try and, I don't know, figure this thing out. Maybe they've been there. They're coming off a bye. And Washington just really, they're not Washington. They're undisciplined. They upset Michigan. Michigan's garbage. They got housed by Iowa 2 weeks ago, lost to Rutgers, self-inflicted wounds. This is just not a well-coached football team anymore. Way too many mistakes, way too undisciplined. And Indiana's feeling it. They are feeling it right now. They got one more big game in front of them. They got to take care of Ohio State. And if they do, they're in the playoff. They're in the Big Ten championship game. I don't see this getting in their way. It's an 11 a.m. kick. Absolutely love it. So was the Nebraska game, and they beat the ever-living shit out of them. Under a touchdown is the big thing here. 6.5 for Indiana. And Cignetti if they're up 4, he will kick that field goal to cover that line. So I like that a lot. Give me the Hoosiers laying 6.5.
So I actually had this game as well. It's not. I do not have the spread though in this one. I do have a total. Yeah, for the spread, it's a good number with 6.5. It was 7.5. That'd be a little more scary, obviously. They are 6-1 against the spread, and I think
Six
even
straight. 6 straight.
6 straight. I'm trying to even find who they didn't cover against. It wasn't a very good team. I think it was
Probably week 1, and it was probably a big spread.
or something.
Yeah, big spread probably.
Let's see if I can find it. I believe it was FIU. Yeah, they didn't cover 20. They didn't cover 25.5, but they won by 24. So
there you go.
they basically covered. So pretty much covered in that one. But for me, it's kind of on the same basis as what you've been talking about here. I've watched a few Washington games. They like you said, not as good as they obviously were last year. Offense is pretty slow. They have Will Rogers, old Mississippi State quarterback. He's not what he was with Mike Leach when he was there. He's not that gunslinger anymore. It's more of a pro style, slow down offense. Little just worried about Indiana scoring because that's what they do. They put up, let's see, in the last 5, 56, 41, 42, 52, and 42. So they can score at will. So I'm actually going to take the under 53.5 in this one.
Okay.
Kind of scary as well. I'm kind of living on the edge this week. Total this year, Washington, it's not looking good actually for me, but Washington's under in 5 of 7, and then obviously I don't think Indiana's really been much of a under team. They may have one under somewhere, maybe that first game as well, but yeah, really banking on Washington to kind of be that slow team and kind of be a little sluggish at the very beginning with that travel. And hopefully Indiana can, kind of just cruise through the last 2 quarters, cover that spread for you and cover that total for me, and it'd just be a wash. So hopefully Indiana covers and they don't score a bunch of points for us because I want to win this week. So
I'm thinking 42-10, and sorry, Scott, you're good.
I'd be good. I'd be fine with that. Yeah,
42-10 feels like a good number there.
So in my second one, I'm taking under 53.5.
All right, I like it. That's fun. We can both root for that game. Now I'm rooting for even more offense. I'm rooting even harder for Indiana to score. For this one, I'm going to be a true American right here. If you haven't been following this story, folks, the service academies, Army and Navy, both undefeated, both ranked in the top 25. This is the first time since 1945 since we've seen anything like this. And these boys are no frauds. They're actually competent football teams. I watch them play. They will definitely beat bad P5 schools. And this is the big one for Navy. Notre Dame coming to Annapolis. This is the game. If Navy wants a shot at getting into the playoff, they got to win this game. The line is 13. I'm going to take those points at home. Notre Dame, a running football team. Now, they've been playing better as of late. We know what the start of the season looked like, just a grindy win against the Aggies, losing to Northern Illinois. But since then, they've really come alive, but they're beating up on bad ACC teams. Louisville, like I've called out for like 3 weeks on this podcast, overrated. Stanford, I don't even know if they have a football team anymore. It says they do, but I'm not sure it's a football team. And Georgia Tech, we know Georgia Tech sucks, and Haynes King didn't even play in that game. So Georgia Tech with a backup quarterback, what can we expect? Navy can actually stop the run, and that's what Notre Dame kind of relies on. They run the football very well. Navy is one of the best teams in the country at stopping the run. I think this is going to be an ugly, low-scoring game. Just enough offense from Navy to move the sticks and keep it close. I just need them to keep it. It's 13. I wish it was 14, but 13 is still a good enough number for me. It's just too many points at home with two teams that I think will get bogged down, play a game that's 21-13, something really ugly and just slow. And Notre Dame wants to control the rock, but I kind of like Navy as an upset spot here just because I'm rooting for America. Give me Navy plus 13 against the Irish.
Yeah, it's been good to pick a service academy this year. It's been pretty cool seeing the Army quarterbacks. I think it's like top 5 in the Heisman right now too. What his name is, but he's been really really good. Navy's been awesome. Hopefully they can keep it going. Maybe be undefeated. Both teams be undefeated by the Army Navy game. That'd be really cool. And
Well,
maybe
they
get
would
one of them.
they would play before then. If they're both undefeated, they would play the week before in the conference championship game, the
Very true, yeah.
AAC conference championship game. We could get 3 straight Army Navy games, folks. It's on the table.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be really cool. I was thinking about taking one of the. I don't think Army's playing this week. I was looking at them, but yeah, they're solid and it's fun to watch. The running type offenses and yeah, I'm with you with that. I think it's at Notre Dame too, right?
No, it's in Annapolis, I
Oh,
believe.
even more. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
playing at home with a bunch of cadets that are pumped up.
MetLife to New Jersey.
Okay.
Excuse me. It's a neutral site. Neutral site.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, I think more.
It'll be a Notre Dame crowd probably.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah, I like the pick. Yeah, for my third one, this is one that I think you might have. I don't know if you do or not.
Uh-oh.
I guess you don't have it because you've
Oh.
already picked 3.
No, I've only picked 2.
Oh wait, yours. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, for my third one, team you picked many times this year, but I completely understand it. Florida State's playing this week.
Oh,
Miami, 21 points is the spread. Obviously, Miami scores a lot. Let's see what we got. They last 5, 52, 39, 38, 50, and 62 points. Doesn't matter who they're playing, they're putting up points. They played a Louisville team. They played a Cal team, which gave them a little bit of a headache there, but they still put up 39. What I'm seeing with Florida State is, DJ being out, and then Glenn, I think is his something. Glenn, I think is his quarterback. I don't
Couldn't
know.
even tell you.
I think
It's bad. It's all bad. It's all
he's
bad,
terrible.
whatever it is.
What is his name? I need to figure that. It's gonna bother me. Nope, I didn't have a line for it. Cam Ward is the only person that has a line. So they didn't even care about him. Yeah, they put up 16 against Duke. They put up 13 against Clemson. They put up 16 against SMU, 14 against Cal, and 12 against Memphis. I don't see them. Obviously, Miami's defense isn't great. They've also been giving up a lot of points. But come on, let's be real. I don't think it's going to be very close. I'm going to take Miami minus 21. It is a lot of points, 3 touchdowns, but I could see Cam Ward potentially even going up 21-0 in the first quarter. They're just that type of team. Heisman candidate, just behind Nash and JT, who we've talked about. He's actually got a really big game this week too against UNLV, who I just watched at Oregon State, and they're no bums either. So that'd be a fun game to watch. I have a pick there too, but yeah, I'm taking Miami minus 21. I just don't think it's going to be that close. Florida State is just, I don't know what's going on with them. They're 2-5 against the spread, and can't score a point. So I'm going to take Miami minus 21.
Easily the worst P4 school in the country. Yeah, 21 is just so big. I'm worried about Miami letting off there. Miami was cruising in that Louisville game and then instantly let Louisville get that game right back to tied. It was I think within 30 seconds they gave up 14 points. No problem, Miami. So Miami does tend to do stupid stuff, and maybe they're lurking for a close game here, a loss, but it's definitely not going to be Florida State. I just worry about how big that number is there. But Florida State's a good team to bet against. I'm not betting against them this week. I am, however, betting a big line. Maybe one of the other I'm all about Cinderellas and darlings this year. I had the Hoosiers. I got Navy. How about the Vanderbilt Commodores? Vanderbilt 2 plays away from being undefeated this season, maybe the most impressive resume in the country. They got the former number 1 team, the Longhorns, coming to town, and this is a bad spot for Texas. A long physical game against Georgia. Kind of get embarrassed at home. The rah-rah gets to you. But they got to go to a Vanderbilt squad who runs maybe the most complex and difficult offenses for defenses to deal with. In this crazy option style, I don't even know what you can call it. It's not even a triple option. It's like a quintuple option. There's just so much going on with that defense. It's mentally and physically draining for teams to deal with. And Vanderbilt's feeling themselves. They played really good all year. They take care of business, but they play a lot of ugly games. They'll play everything close. Almost an upset win against Missouri, upset Alabama, kind of an ugly game against Kentucky. They're getting 19 points at home here. I don't think they win this game. I think Texas bounces back and responds, but I think Vanderbilt keeps it close and they keep it ugly. I think they're going to wear out this defense just because, they're already exhausted from the Georgia game, just having to deal with Georgia. I think this is going to be an ugly game. Maybe the Horns are down in the second half, but then they pull through because they will be able to score, I think, on Vanderbilt. The offense is just too talented. But 19 is just way, way, way too many points for me on the road for a Texas team who kind of feels like the same old Texas team after what we saw last weekend against Georgia. So give me Vanderbilt in a Cinderella story, getting 19 at home.
Yeah, last week with Texas Georgia, we were watching that game, and it just seemed like Georgia almost they felt like they were disrespected. I would be too if I was Georgia, and I think it was the first time they've been underdogs in a game in like I don't know 3 years or 4 years or something.
Everybody was on
Sure.
Texas. I said it before the
Yeah, and
game, like
everyone
right
was on
before.
Texas,
I'm
and
like, there's too much buzz on Texas. Georgia's winning this game. Like, this is way
yeah,
too
and
much.
Kirby's probably talking to his team saying, they don't think you're gonna win. You're
The
disrespecting.
referees tried to make sure they didn't win the game. They tried.
Yeah, so for me, I think they came in pretty motivated. Quinn Ewers got benched, but I don't think it was more of like I think it was more of like a reset
Settle.
bench, kind of
Yeah.
calm down. Your starting job is not taken. You just need to calm down. And he came back and figured it out in that second quarter, in that second half a little bit. They started to kind of figure it out, but obviously they ended up losing by 2 touchdowns anyway. But for Vandy, I think after that Bama win, I think I did say it was kind of a squarey pick to take Vanderbilt against Kentucky. They ended up covering that game, but I am a little worried that they couldn't even put up the spread number against Ball State last week. I didn't watch the game. I didn't really see what happened, but obviously playing in Vanderbilt's going to be a tough place to play, at least this week, at least this year. Nick Saban may have something else to say about that, but yeah, tough place to play now. But I think Texas bounces back. That they're coming off a really big game, and I think Quinn bounces back and has a good game. 19 is a lot of points. Maybe they don't win by 21. They don't win by 3 touchdowns, but it could. I think they're like you said. I think they're still going to win. It'll be probably 14 or 17.
17 was what I was thinking there. Maybe, a late score by Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt, they fight. Nobody cares about Ball State. We didn't even know it wasn't on TV. It never happened. Okay, not a real game.
Obviously, like Carson Beck last week, he looked like shit, to be honest. Threw 3 picks, and a couple of them were like, "What are you doing?" So Texas, their defense is still top in the league, and they're still going to come out. Defenses don't really sleep as much as offenses do. They're still going to come out and play well. You see, like the Cleveland Browns, they still come out and play defense, but their offense is, so give and take. Obviously, Deshaun wants to go down. That's another story. But I think defenses don't sleep as much as offenses do. So they're still going to be elite. Tough place to play though, and I felt like game day could have came here too, but I don't think they would have had Texas in 2 straight game days. But either way, we'll see. I think it's very much of a toss up after last week with Vandy.
Yeah,
could
be flirting with fire play with Texas there. I just like the way it's just tough. If you don't see that offense, it's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. Diego Pavia may be the Heisman Cinderella story of the year just because of what he's doing there. But give me your honorable mentions.
Well, I have to pick, as we always do, Kent State. We gotta talk about them every week. Kent State, Western Michigan over 59. I think they just put up a bunch of points against each other, and who cares who wins? It probably won't be Kent State, but they'll put up points, I'm sure. Maybe one of the biggest games this week, Illinois, Oregon. It is at Oregon, but I don't like the number being 3.5,
21
three
and a half.
touchdowns on a hook, 21.
Same.
So I like Illinois plus 21.5 there. Utah and Houston. I pick Utah every week somewhere in there, but yeah. Zach Wilson's brother is not it for Utah, and Houston isn't that good either. They did okay against TCU, so I see a pretty terrible, not even defensive. I think it's just a bad team against a bad team. So I like the under 37. And then, like I said, UNLV and Boise are playing this week. I've just got done watching UNLV. They're pretty scrappy. They have that quarterback who can run. He's pretty good. Um, it is at home as well. UNLV has been very, very good since their quarterback left. We talked about this last week as well. Their quarterback who ditched them probably did them a little bit of a favor by leaving because they're better now. And they are underdogs to Boise. I'm taking UNLV plus 3.5. Ashton JT's the man, but this is a tough game, and I do think UNLV can win this game.
All right. I like it. I had Illinois plus 21 and a half as well. Illinois, not a bad team. Pretty good team, good defensive team. That's just too big of a number. Syracuse plus 5.5 against Pitt. Pitt is like the worst 6-0 team ever. I don't know how they're still 6-0. They just barely survive every game, it feels like. And Syracuse is just, they're fine. They're 5-1. They're pretty good for Syracuse. That was a weird one. Ole Miss 20 and a half. I like that. Under 3 touchdowns. Oklahoma blows. Their defense is decent, but Oklahoma, welcome to the SEC, boys. It's week in and week out for y'all there. And did I have one more? No, you talked about BYU, UCF. That was another game I was interested in, but the square pick. But what is your upset for us this week?
So I feel like the Big 12 is very parity driven. Obviously, last week BYU almost losing to Oklahoma State. They're the top team, and they almost lost a pretty terrible Oklahoma State team at home as well. Night game at home, I think, even too. So very parity driven. A lot of bad teams beating good teams. As we say, I think there's going to be another one this week. Actually, they're really not bad team against good team. I think it's more even than the line says. Texas Tech and TCU. TCU is at home. I think they play pretty well at home. I don't know about this year, but I know in the past they have. Let me see if I can find that at home. Money line at home. They're 1-2, so really nothing to be too happy about. But Texas Tech can score a little bit: 35, 28, 44, 30, and 66 in their last 5. I'm not sure about the other games, but they do put up points. Our boy Chuck loves the quarterback there. I think he went to Hutto too. He might be the guy coming up. Maybe it might be the backup quarterback that he loves, but he went to Hutto, so that's kind of cool too. Yeah, and TCU just an ugly game against Utah last week. Terrible loss against Houston. Who doesn't beat Kansas, and then 2 terrible losses to SMU, who's pretty good. They put up 42, but they gave up 66, and then UCF, who will hopefully beat UCF this week. UCF, who will hopefully beat BYU this week. So not really seeing much of what I want to in a team that's favored by almost a touchdown. So yeah, I'm taking Texas Tech plus 200. I just think the Big 12 is just all over the place. There's always 1 or 2 games that there's some not crazy upset, but they're more of an even playing field league than the other one. So yeah, I'm taking Texas Tech plus 200.
Yeah, I like it. Kind of crazy. Tech, a team that was, I think they're in second, they're in third, they're right there in the conference. They're doing really well. Yeah, another team that's nobody thought of. Yes, Big 12 chaos conference. That's why Colorado's doing so well in the Big 12. It's a chaos conference. Nobody can coach. Nobody can play defense. It's just a shit show. Any given week, anything is happening for them. So I like it. I'm going to the SEC for mine, and this doesn't feel great, but you know what? I got a hunch this team is due for a game. Arkansas going to Mississippi State and Stark Vegas. Mississippi State, maybe one of the most embarrassing losses in recent memory, getting housed at home by Toledo, but they've changed quarterback. They went to Van Buren, and he's been pretty good. They've covered 3 straight. Texas, tough team. I believe they played, Texas, Georgia, A&M, their last three. Those are three teams in the top 15. Those are like three teams that could easily be in the top 8 by next weekend. And they've done okay. They've covered 3 straight, lost by 10 to Georgia, lost by 10 to A&M. And they didn't do the best, but that was his first start ever. Now he's got 3 games under his belt. And this Arkansas team, it just they play ugly football. They play ugly football. They got beat up pretty good by LSU last weekend. They played an ugly game against A&M. They played a super ugly game to upset Tennessee. And I think Mississippi State's going to want to play an ugly game with them. They're going to keep this game close. The line is 6.5. I love that for Mississippi State. But I just got a weird feeling Mississippi State 1-6 on the season is due for a nice win. They've played really well against really good teams in the conference the last 3 weeks. They're due for a win. They're due for an upset. Arkansas 4-3 kind of, I feel like Vegas and other people like Arkansas more than I do. I don't see it. I watch them play and it's just bad football. They play good defense. They play sloppy on offense. So yeah, I think Mississippi State, this is their spot. I'm going to take the Bulldogs at home, 11:45 kickoff in Stark Vegas. What a bizarre time for a game to kick off. I'm going to take them plus 189 against the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I mean, as Aggie graduates, we did watch the game last week. Van Buren looked pretty good. I was a little worried about our team going into that fourth quarter. Yeah, with three straight covers, at least they lost all 3, but 3 straight covers against right now the 3 best teams.
Three of the 4 best teams in the conference right now.
It's pretty good, and like you said, under his belt, 3 pretty big games, and coming into a 4th one at home. Home dog too. Home dog is always nice to bet on. Yeah, Arkansas, cool. They're good against the spread, but yeah, I don't mind that pick at all. They didn't do well against LSU last week. Obviously the Tennessee win, but
Tennessee's bad. Tennessee's kind of bad.
Tennessee's turning into bad. So Nico's, I think
bad.
There's tape on him now, so teams are starting to figure him out. So yeah, I don't hate the pick. I think that quarterback at Mississippi State's starting to figure it out a little bit. So I don't hate it at all.
Well, he looks good. They maybe should have rolled with him to start the season, and they wouldn't be in the predicament they're in. But why don't you run back your picks and we'll wrap it up?
I got the non-square pick, UCF -2 against BYU, Miami -21 against Florida State, UW Illinois under 53.5, and Texas Tech +200 against TCU.
All right, I got Indiana -6.5 against UW. I got Navy +13 against Notre Dame. Go America. Vandy +19 against the Horns. And Mississippi State +189 in the upset against.
I do have a guest pick.
Guest pick.
Jay is taking LSU money line.
Of course
that
he
matters
is.
to anybody.
Tell Jay he's a POS for picking that. We can't touch that.
Relaying the message.
That was my emergency pick, break glass, in case I have the same pick as Scott, and I can't have that in the last week. It was LSU +2.5. Just in case if I lose, I'm okay because the Aggies win. That means I'm in good shape there. So that was my break glass in case of emergency pick. I knew you'd like that one. But that's going to do it for us this week. Be sure to tune in next week. See who wins. See what that punishment for one of us is going to be. Again, like, subscribe, and share if you haven't already. If you want to check out one of these games in person, head on over to SeatGeek. Use code AFTERTHEREVIEW. $20 off your first purchase. One of the people on the show used it last week for that UNLV game. Who could that be? So SeatGeek.com, code AFTERTHEREVIEW, $20 off your first purchase. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you all next week.